Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. You are watching BooksAreUs. I'm here today to talk about a book which I first saw its movie adaptation on the big screen years ago, and I liked it. In fact, I had an analysis on its OST. Okay, so let's have a warm up. This is the song. Forgive me, I'm singing again. Every time I think of you, I always catch my breath, and I'm still standing here, and you're miles away, and I'm wondering why you left. And there's a storm that's raging through my frozen heart tonight. I hear your name in certain circles, and it always makes me smile. I spend my time thinking about you, and it almost driving me wild. And that's my heart that's breaking down this long distance line tonight. I ain't missing you at all. Since you've been gone away, I ain't missing you. No matter what my friends say, there's a message in the wild, and I'm sending you this signal tonight. You don't know how desperate I've become, and it looks like I'm losing this fight in your world. I have no meaning, though I'm trying hard to understand. And it's my heart that's breaking down this long distance line tonight. I ain't missing you at all. Since you've been gone away, I ain't missing you. No matter what my friends say, and there's a message that I'm sending out, like a telegraph to your soul. And if I can't bridge this distance, stop. I'm sorry again for my singing. When I watched that film, I was with my wife, and we really loved that movie. After watching the film, going home, that song was still running in our minds. Yeah, it added some tone in the movie and makes you nostalgic in a way. And I didn't know this movie was based from a novel. I've been meaning to read the book after watching its film adaptation, and I've finally picked it up after many years, and I like the book. The book is amazing. And after the surprise box office success of its movie adaptation, which stars Nicholas Hoult and Teresa Palmer as its main characters, the author of this book decided to make a prequel, a novella called The New Hunger. And eventually, he's added 2 more sequels, which is The Burning World and The Living. So it has 4 books total in this series, and the latest was published in 2018. And in 2019, rumor has it that a TV adaptation is in development, and it's really some, exciting times ahead. And I'm really looking forward to it, if ever it happens in the future. I got this book in an online secondhand bookseller early last month, and the author originally wrote a short story called I Am a Zombie Filled with Love, and which eventually becomes a full-length novel. This book is described as zombie romance, which has allusions to William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. And this book is published in 2010. It comes in at 240 pages, so it's really a quick read. And this is told in a first-person perspective. It's written by an American writer. This is the Warm Bodies by Marion. Whoops. Okay. So what is the story about? The story is set in a post-apocalyptic future, like the world is somehow destroyed by war. No longer its best condition to be living in. So we have what we call the living, which is the humans, those people who are still alive. Then we have these bony or skeleton-like type of zombies who are almost decaying, but savage and eating human flesh. And of course, the third type of people here, characters or entities here, would be the zombies. The normal type of zombies, if you know what I mean. And our main protagonist in this book is called R. He's roughly in his late 20s. R is our narrator. He is a zombie, He can speak not in sentences, but he can utter a word or two. Though he doesn't have clear pronunciation, he can only do groaning or difficulty in uttering a word. He can still talk somehow. Some of the zombies here get to talk, but one or two words. They couldn't, speak normally like the human beings. R is still in his early stage of a zombie. He lives in an abandoned airport. He stays in a airplane, a Boeing 747 all by himself. He collects stuff there. He likes music. He has a gramophone and a large collection of things inside. He has good taste when it comes to music. R is a guy who is somewhat hopeless romantic, I can say. He can't remember anything. He doesn't know his name and only refers himself as R. And he tells his story. We get to know him better through his thoughts as our narrator in this book. And so early on in the story, one day, while on a hunt looking for something to eat of human flesh, he bumped into a group of teenagers, and in this bunch of teenagers there's one couple here, of course, who are a boyfriend and a girlfriend. R ate the guy, and while finishing his meal, he heard this other zombie friends devouring the humans, and a human, one remaining girl, is still alive and about to be eaten as well, when suddenly he caught sight of this girl's face, and R's instincts told him to go help and protect the girl. And it was somewhat love at first sight. And so R gets to talk with this girl who is named Julie. So we have R and Julie. Again, this book has a literary allusion to William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. So in this story, we have R and Julie. You get the picture. Alright. Julie is afraid of R because how the heck a zombie gets to talk and protect her from other zombies who are salivating by her mere presence. But R reassures her and tells her that he's different from other zombies and R will actually protect her. And so R brought her into his place to the Boeing 747 in the airplane, and there they get to, somehow know each other better. Here's the catch though, these zombies' favorite part of human flesh is not its blood or whatever, but after eating the flesh, the meat, what they look forward to eating is to getting to taste the human brain. Yes, the human brain, that's right. What this book's recurring theme is memory. Being able to reminisce and think of the one you love, of your loved one, basically. Because what's happening in this book is that it's set in a world where it's already destroyed, too much are going on. Many people have died already. There's this pandemic. They don't know where did it come from, where it's coming from, and that many people are becoming zombies, that they are trying to find cure. I get to relate to this book. It's somehow very much what's happening right now in our world, having this COVID-19 pandemic. So in a way, you get to, connect right away with what's happening in this book. Though there are zombies that are featured in this book. And what is this book's recurring theme is memory, of being able to reminisce and think of the one you love, of your loved one. The mere taste of a human brain that was just been killed is so satisfying because the zombie who has no memories anymore actually get to taste the person's life or get to relive the memories of that person's life. The zombies here like the brains because this gives them somehow bliss. It gives them a happy feeling. Somehow it gives them life, makes them alive again by reliving the memories of that human's life. So yeah, interesting, right? How's that? Now, when R ate the brain of Julie's boyfriend, it gave R a sudden or a flash of snippets. It gave him a glimpse of the boyfriend's and Julie's memories together, being together before. The close-up face of Julie of being in love, towards the person that R just ate. And so for the split second there, while R was eating the brain of Julie's boyfriend and hearing Julie's cry for help, it gave R an instant connection for Julie. And the problem is, Julie knows nothing about it. And Julie would ask R if he has any idea who among his zombie friends ate her boyfriend. And R will lie about it. He won't tell Julie first because he's having this thought. He feels guilty of doing it. That, of course, is falling for the girl. And then suddenly, what will happen if he tells her? He's afraid of the reaction of Julie towards it. And so, he's a zombie though, but he has a heart. Remember, this has a literary allusion to Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. And knowing that story, it's bittersweet. There's a tragedy that's going to happen there. So, it's for you guys to find out what happens there. But a spark of love starts to blossom from these two characters. So, watch out for that. And another thing is, Julie is a daughter of a general who won't hesitate in killing a zombie in an instant. So, there's a sense of fear there. Danger for both our characters there. Also, one of the questions that I was asking when I was reading this book is that, are they going to find a cure for this pandemic that's going on in their world? Will R and Julie end up together? Is it really possible for a zombie and a human girl to fall in love and be together ever after? That's a question. So basically, we are in this chaotic place that has zombies all around, and much of the world is destroyed right now. And how our and his zombie friends get to survive? Because in a way, our enemies here are humans who wouldn't have any second thoughts but to kill any zombie that they will meet. You know, you as a reader will really care for a main protagonist, R. I must warn you. We'll follow R and Julie's blossoming relationship of trying to understand what is happening in their world. Would there be any cure? I mean, as a zombie flick, of course, we get to find out if a scientist is able to find a vaccine. And in a way, it's very much what's happening in our world right now due to this pandemic. And so in a way, when I read this book, there's this feeling of deja vu. It's so relatable in a way. You'll know what I mean if you get to read this book. The fight of survival, basically. If you have seen the Walking Dead series, the Train to Busan, which I also like. It's a Korean zombie flick. If you haven't watched it yet, you should try it. It's nice. And you know, this World War Z where Brad Pitt is the protagonist. It's also a nice story about zombie, which I also like. You know, during the lockdown, all of us were staying at home, so I get to see a lot of shows on Netflix. One of which that I like really is the Kingdom series. It's a Korean TV series. So far, it has 2 seasons. I immediately got hooked in that series. It's really nice. You've been bombarded of a lot of zombie flicks already before. All of it were from Western type of zombie flicks, but this time it's Asian zombie flick. It's rich, the costumes. It's a period piece where there would be zombies. Kingdom, I must say, is really, really, really good of a TV series. It will show how people in the government, it will show their true colors. This show is brilliantly, you know, executed, I must say. It has a lot of social commentaries. It really, really reflects the situation we have in the real world. How the government is handling the situation. Are they protecting themselves first? Are they protecting the people who get to have this food? Who get to be saved? Who get to be eaten by the zombies first? It's really, I really like that story. But those zombie flicks I mentioned are all about humans. But this book is, I find it a unique story because this time we'll get to see and feel life from the perspective of a zombie. And this time our enemies are these humans, which I find really interesting. Even zombies have a heart and deserve to live. You know? So what are your least favorite parts of the book? There's one character here that, you know, you'll be so annoyed with. This person is, of course, somewhat an old school individual and somehow a bit close-minded already of what's happening in the world, because being in the situation of having this pandemic, everyone is becoming a zombie, and of course you're after your safety already. And this person sort of gets used to that situation, so this person is always into making tough decisions right away, and in doing so gets blinded or clouded. Sometimes in this kind of situation where, like in this COVID-19 pandemic, you see a lot of news going on from all over around the world, how people react to this situation in these trying times that we are currently in. You know, sometimes we forget the basic, which is our common sense. I mean, you can be intelligent, you can be this intellectual person, you can be this logical person and everything, but being in a tough situation, you don't know who your enemy is because this is a virus and it sends people into panic. Of course, we're just human beings. We want to be safe and everything. But what I observed during the past months being in this quarantine, watching news, sometimes one thing that we lack, we humans, myself included, is I think common sense. And also that person here in this book, the one that annoyed me, is somewhat lacking that common sense, I think. What did you like about the book? I like the writing style. It's really nice. It was written beautifully, just mesmerizing, I must say. It's pure brilliance. Really a quality writing. Literary even. The prose is so rich. I also like the storytelling, vivid description of emotions. The characters are alive. This has fun characters that you get to care for and like. And the plot is super fun. Very satisfying. And also there's so many insights in this book about life, about love, about our society, and basically it's about having purpose in life in a world that is already hopeless, you know, and having that desire to make some changes and to stand for what you believe in. There's one scenario in this book where one of our main characters get to confront an individual with a high position in the community, like being able to question one's authority. I like that because not everyone is as brave, you know. Sometimes those people who hold having a high position in the community, or basic example is of those in the government, and I mean, or being in these trying times, having this pandemic that everyone is experiencing worldwide, you get to see people's true color. Are they only doing it for their own agenda? Who gets saved first? Who gets left behind? And the idea of just because everyone is doing it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. And sometimes you have to make a stand as an individual, not to be blinded by the noise that majority of people are saying, but you need to really reflect deep inside and really see the whole picture, the bigger picture, you know. Once an individual gets blinded by his or her own belief, having no compassion anymore, and that's where it becomes problematic, I think. And this book somehow will address such issues. This also has social commentaries and just pure real talk, really, which I like. To cite one quote from Mitch Albom's book, which is the Justice Morrie, there's a passage there that I like. It says, "Those who follow the crowd usually get lost in it," which just makes sense, really, being in this situation. Because sometimes, just because everyone is doing it, it's already the right thing to do. No. And also, he mentioned there, if you don't like the culture you're in, don't buy it, create your own. Which also makes sense. I like that. I like that quote. This book is atmospheric. Sometimes it's eerie. It's somehow philosophical. It has depth. The emotions here, images that Isaac Marion paints in your mind while reading each sentences is just amazing. And though our main protagonist is a zombie, he's so relatable. For some reason, I get to relate to him. I highly recommend. This book is just amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed this book, really. I'm amazed at how Isaac Marion's way of writing. It's so poetic, which I really like. You get to read the lines slowly and savor it and sort of capture it, then release it before you go to the next sentence. That's the kind of writing style he has in this book. You can vividly picture the emotions, the way he describes human emotions. It's so mesmerizing, really. The man can definitely write. Such a terrific writer, I must say. This book is cheesy, the right kind of cheesiness. One of those books that you devour right away, yet you chew it slowly. You let the words linger to your taste buds before taking another bite. And before I forget, one of the characters here loves eating pad thai. Pad thai is a Thai food. It's made of noodles. Makes me want to have a Grab delivery right away. Makes you crave for a pad thai. Because it was mentioned many times in this book. And here's a bit of an introduction from R, which is our main protagonist and the narrator in this book, who he is and what he thinks about life. We set upon the living and we eat. Eating is not a pleasant business. I chew off a man's arm and I hate it. I hate his screams because I don't like pain. I don't like hurting people, but this is the world now. This is what we do. And here's another one. When R finally gets to take a bath, again, after a long time, this is what he thinks. This is an experience I had long forgotten, and I savor it like a first sip of wine, a first kiss. Isn't so cheesy the way Isaac Marion writes, how he describes things. And here's another passage of R thinking about Julie. I'm watching her walk, watching her jaw move and collecting her words one by one as they spill from her lips. Her warm memories, I don't deserve them. I'd like to paint them over the bare plaster walls of my soul, but everything I paint seems to peel. Now, being in this COVID-19 pandemic that we are still experiencing right now, you know, I mean worldwide, we get to reflect on things, really. And I mean, personally, while being in a quarantine, a lot of thoughts are going into my mind. The fear, of course, I think everyone has that. What would happen next? I mean, really, we keep on praying that a cure or a vaccine gets discovered the soonest to fight this pandemic. There's just one scene that really struck me, and it gave me an answer to most of my basic questions being in this pandemic. A son and a father had this conversation in the book. The son asked his father, do you think it's stupid to fall in love like the way things are now? I mean, everything's so uncertain. Is it stupid to waste and take on stuff like that in a world like this? Everything might fall apart any minute. You know, with pertaining to their situation in the book where there's this pandemic, there are a lot of zombies, you know. So this teenager asked his father about, is it stupid to fall in love? You know, a lot of people are having this problem, having to survive, having to eat, not to be hungry and everything. But this teenager was thinking about falling in love. It sounds funny to me. It's like it's the end of the world already, but I'm in love with someone, yet I I mean, it's really so funny. That scenario there, it struck me. And aside from not just having an issue about love, but in general, other things than that, it makes me realize things. And some would ask this, right? I mean, it's natural for a teenager to ask that question. It's just real talk. The father answered his son, "There's no benchmark for how life's supposed to happen. There's no ideal world for you to wait around for. The world is always just what it is now, and it's up to you how you respond to it." Me reading that passage from his father, his response to his son, you know, I find it so meaningful. It's so spot on, and there's some wisdom there coming from a father giving advice to his son. Basically, it's, you know, real talk there of what's happening right now, the pandemic and everything, because life will not stop. The show must go on. This COVID-19 pandemic, this virus will always be there, always be around us. Somehow it will hinder the way we live in everyday life because we're always afraid of having to catch it when we go outside and everything. But the world doesn't stop. Although it's terrifying, it's a bit scary having this pandemic, but sometimes there are things that's out of our control. So what we do is we go back to the basics. Sometimes, as much as we want to be in control of what's going on with our lives, of everything in our lives, but sometimes it doesn't go the way we want it to. And so you go back, you step back, okay, stop for a moment, pause. If you keep on fighting that situation, that emotion that you have, that you feel, it will give you stress, and that will hinder you appreciating life in general. But, you know, life is short. We only have one life. There's a lot of things to think about being in this pandemic. What to eat, how to earn money. But this guy's problem is about falling in love. Is it stupid? I mean, no. If you love someone, go ahead. You only live once. Say it. Go. This book is just really a fun to read. I really like this book. So who would you recommend this book to? If you haven't tried any pandemic backdrop, it's a funny and romantic zombie story with a quality writing, with a brilliant storytelling and a satisfying plot. You may try this one. It's a quick read. You'll enjoy this, guaranteed. And it's definitely for the win. And each chapter head will give you some pictures, the human body. So you get to see some pictures, anatomy, basically. And how's that? It's nice. And there you have it, guys. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you liked this video that I made. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. I hope to see you again on my next video. If you've read this book and you've watched the film adaptation already, let's have a chat. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'm your Pinoy booktuber. Basa din pag may time. Again, stay safe. Bye for now.